Hello, and welcome back to another edition of Girls Talk 9.0, where we candidly talk about the topic du jour. Today, we're going to talk about a 2022 Rob Savage film, Dashcam. My name is Whaley Hollow, and with me today is your host, your co-host, my co-host, Bald Gal. What up? Okay, she got a flow going. You about to drop a beat? Is that? All right. So if you notice, we're a little light today. We're missing two of our partners, but that's okay. They'll be back next time. We certainly hope so. It's not going to discourage us or reduce or minimize the topic of discussion at all. So as I was saying, today we're going to talk about the 2022 film Dash Cam, and I will say, spoiler alert, if you have not seen it. You might want to stop here because we're going to talk about the beginning, the middle, and the end, and we don't want to spoil it for you. So you might want to stop here and then come back and join us. Before I go any further, Bald Gal, it looks like you are frozen.
Really?
Oh, now you're good. I don't know what happened. You were frozen there for a minute.
Okay. I might have
You're good
maybe
now.
okay. If it happens
Yeah.
again, just let me know because it could be that I have the refresh on too high.
Got it, got it. Okay, well, this film is about would you call her a vlogger? I'm not sure what she's actually doing, but I'm going to call her a vlogger who this is during lockdown. She goes to visit her friend in the UK and uninvited, and she shows up, wreaks havoc on his relationship and his work environment, if you will. She's a little disrespectful there, and she steals his car and picks up. And he's a delivery guy. She answers one of his calls and is and picks up an unexpected guest, touche, who then wreaks havoc on her and her friend for the rest of the movie, pretty much. So without further ado, Gail, why don't you start this time?
Okay. I only have one page of notes, just one-sided. Because
Okay.
I didn't want to take up, well, I was hoping everyone would be here and I didn't want to take up too much time because I wanted to
Take
definitely hear
up
from
time
everyone
because
else.
we it's just
I
us,
know
so
it's just
take
the
up the
two of
time.
us. I know.
Oh, good.
I really enjoyed the film. What I liked about the film were the same things that I liked about the other film that we saw from him, Host, which I think was 2021.
Yep.
And it had the same, I like that it was short, fairly short movie. I think Host was 60 minutes. I think this one came in at 80 minutes. And I think that's a nice, crisp time frame for a horror movie because it kind of gets you in there. Action starts kicking in 20 minutes into it. And I felt like just like Host, once the action kicked in, it was relentless. Like there was
Relentless. It
no
was really
filler. Yeah, no silly
no break,
conversations on the
no rest for the
side.
weary.
Yeah. No rest
Nothing.
for the weary.
No.
When the floodgates open, you swim in the whole time. And I like that about both of the films. I
True.
also like the casting in his films. And I thought the casting here was good too. I actually thought that the main character, while certainly intentionally irritating, um, uh, was believable. I like that, it's just different faces. And I actually thought her raps were stupid, but she had some rapping ability. I mean, it could have she could have been far worse. I've heard worse raps on the radio today, so she wasn't horrible. Um, the other thing that I really liked about this movie that I liked about the last movie is that even though like in Host, it wasn't the first time you saw a movie about people on a Zoom call, and this isn't the first time you saw a movie where somebody gets in a taxi and something happens, or somebody gets in their taxi and something happens. But he takes something that maybe we're kind of familiar with, a premise that we're familiar with, and then he just takes it in unexpected places. And
Yep.
so you think, okay, I've seen a movie like this before, but you really haven't. And he just keeps things unpredictable and fresh. The last thing I would say is that I like that he keeps his movies in the present. So he doesn't ignore the fact that people have cell phones. He doesn't ignore the fact that people are online. And so I like that this continued the same concept in Zoom, where it's just relevant, right? A Zoom call, not a Zoom host. I like that she was a streamer, right? That was interesting. Just added to it. And I think it just makes things more current. I think it just makes the horror feel more contemporary. Um, I also think, and we'll talk about this later, that there's a lot of social commentary in his movies. I think it's not really in your face, and I don't mean her politics, but more just the context about it. It's something that Sunchild said last week, which was, I guess we're just desensitized. And I think that concept of people being desensitized is really front and center in this movie. So we'll talk about that in a bit once you get a chance to talk. And then there were a couple things that I didn't necessarily love about the movie. I thought that the monster at the end was kind of weird looking and not particularly, just strange. And then I felt like he left us without an explanation. Like, what was that? Where did it come from? Like, maybe I missed it, but I felt like I was needing answers at the end. But overall, I really enjoyed. It was a really fun 80 minutes, and I wasn't sure in the first 10 minutes if I was going to enjoy it. But once it kicked in, I really did enjoy it up until the very end. So that's all I have to say to kick off. What are you thinking,
Eh,
Whaley?
Yeah, so my
And I need
overview
something
is,
to
and I too love the
shut it off.
movie. I feel like the rapper or blogger or streamer, either you loved her or you hated her, but she
Right.
instilled some emotion in
Yes.
you that
Yes.
helped you support her throughout the movie. Like I pretty much
Yes.
wanted to smack her. She was so over the top and her
She was.
lyrics were so vulgar. Like, is there anything else you can talk
Yeah.
about?
She was.
Um,
She was.
her streamers were hilarious. I mean, did you see some of the comments? I could not.
I was dying from the
Tears.
comments,
The comments
crying from
were
the comments. But again, I think
pretty
that's
funny.
that's the social commentary that we'll
Yes,
talk
it
about in
is.
a minute. Or you can
Yeah.
talk about now if you want
Um,
to get into it.
no, I won't get into it. I'm just going to give a high level. So I really, really liked that. Like I said, she, I guess I didn't love her. I didn't hate her, but I was on the hate side, and I realized it's an acting. I thought it was absolutely phenomenal what she did. Right? She
Yeah.
was so over the top that I went right off to the left with her. It's like, I can't
Right.
stand this girl. But that energy that she had took her throughout the whole movie, and I felt like because of that energy that she had, she did things that we would do, like
Yes.
in those situations. Like she
Yes.
didn't, if she felt she was right up, like if something happened, she was like cursing like the rest of us would do. And she was fighting things off. And I was like, I like that. I like that. I mean, there's just a lot of energy there. Um, Her relationship with her friend, that was a little odd, right? I
Very.
think they were but like I didn't know why she showed up at his house. I was trying to figure out, why she just kind of showed up, and I'm sure she regrets making that trip. I too felt, like, why am I here?
Somebody effed around and found out.
That's right. That's right. I do feel that was a little, I couldn't figure out, how it ended per se either. And I thought the creature at the end, I would not have envisioned that, but I felt like it was so different from where the movie was going, that maybe another creature would have fit the tone a little better. I don't know.
I
But
felt
I
the
did
same
think it was a
way.
little,
Mhm.
yeah, I think it was a little different. Like we have this one head alien. I don't know. Well, I guess all aliens have one head, but like I don't know what it was. Yeah, I don't know
Caterpillar
what it
looking
was.
thing. It
Yeah,
was like,
I
what?
just don't know what it was. But I will tell you that that movie was just like, help me. Like to your point, once it kicked in, you were constantly trying to survive. Throughout the entire time when she was trying to survive, she still had funny comments. It's like, girl, you're in the midst of death here and you still have some bullshit to say. Like it was just the funniest a
Yeah.
believable thing.
Yes.
I
Yes.
absolutely loved it. I think Rob does a really good job at, to your point, being present
Hmm.
and just kind of letting it letting the movie go where it goes. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I think
Right.
I read that a lot of this was just ad lib, if you will,
Oh,
improv.
really? Oh,
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, I think they did a phenomenal job because you never know what you're gonna walk into, and it was so believable. Like, and maybe that's why. Maybe because it was so improv that, he realized, okay, this is it. I'm not gonna add anything different. Here's what we're trying to
yeah.
do. Go for it, and it worked.
Why
100.
was she in the UK to begin with? Did I
That's what
miss
I'm saying.
that?
I don't know why she went to go visit him. I don't know why. It was her BFF. Maybe she was sick of sitting around LA, but I don't really know. I mean, I'm speculating,
Okay. Okay.
speculating, but
'Cause
I know I would have
I
been
didn't
pissed.
kind of get all of that either. The other thing was, did they give us, did I miss any explanation at all at the end about what that thing was?
If you did, I missed it as well.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
'Cause I was like, I literally was like, I don't know.
right. I was
I just didn't get it. Like I
right.
don't necessarily always want an explanation, but I felt like a little bit of lore would have been helpful.
Agreed.
Like,
Agreed.
set it up for part 2 maybe, but
Because I think you're kind of left thinking, was it part of something that came out of the lockdown, or was it something that was just specific to the UK? Like, what is this? Like, where'd this creature girl daughter come from? And like, was it the Ariana Grande tattoo that made her sick? Like, no, but then her mother was a little weird too, so I don't know what it was.
yeah, yeah. Well, and then what was the, like, why was she in that other woman's house and they brought her to, like, where they were obviously protecting her, and they were what were all those zombie things at the very end, that were in the room when he walked in the
Oh,
room, there were
those
all those
people who
people.
slit their throats.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like what was, I don't know. I just felt like, you're gonna spring this on us. You need to explain a
a
tad,
little bit, a
just a
little
little
bit.
bit.
Yeah,
Give us some
that's what.
breadcrumbs.
Yeah,
So yeah,
that's
I
what I'm sure.
fault him on that for sure. Cause
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
wanted to know more about, I was
yeah.
intrigued at this idea that this girl was somehow transforming. I love the idea. I love that she looked like an old lady. Like that was scary to me that she kind of was just
It was. That's not usual.
not at all.
You know what I
And when she
mean?
was in
That's
the
not
back of this
usual.
car staring, I would have crashed 10 times, but I wouldn't have put her in
I
the
wouldn't have
car
picked her
together.
up. Yeah, yeah,
Exactly.
no. They were like, nah,
I might have gone to
you,
pick her up, but once I saw her, I would have
no.
left her there.
Listen, her initial reaction, remember, she said, "Oh no, 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 I'm out of here. What is this, child trafficking?" But the money seemed to lure her in, which it would not have lured me. But I guess she had to do it right. The movie had to go somewhere. But that's supposedly what made her pick this person up. But it's funny. She felt very unsympathetic throughout the
Yes.
entire film. Yet
Yes.
with Angela, she showed a little emotions, right? She was still, regardless of all this crap that was happening, she still was like, Angela, are you okay? Let me wipe you. Let me do this. Like she was still kind of showing some compassion for her. And the other time that I felt she showed compassion was when they crashed into the bride and groom's car, just married or whatever, the newlyweds, and you find Stretch on the outside of the car just sitting there. And she's like, tell me, what rhymes with orange? Set me up. That was her way of, showing some emotions. She wasn't so hard at that point. You could just actually see, you know, her, which I thought was good.
Me too. I guess we're gonna have to have the conversation about the social commentary. I guess she was, I would have said 5 years ago, I would have said this character was completely unrealistic.
Uh-huh.
That you would be so focused on streaming and on your stuff that you wouldn't have, you know, you wouldn't be, I don't know how to even explain it. But today I would say absolutely this is believable. I will believe that there's a person who would stream even if, they were getting hit by a car. They would
Yeah.
stream it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
And
yeah,
so
yeah.
I
I
believed,
do.
yeah, but I wouldn't have believed it years ago. But today we see people are absolutely insane. So that part, I think he's making a commentary less about her being, well, about not just her being hard, but society in general being hard, right? Because who would watch somebody getting murdered, tortured, killed, stalked, but yet all of her followers did, right? They waited for her. every time for her to, it looked like she was dead, they just sat there waiting for her to come back online. And to
Right.
your point, there was no sensitivity to her situation. I don't know if they thought it was all a troll, that it
I
wasn't
think
real.
some of them did. Yeah.
Some of them did, but you could tell at some points that there was something really going on. And people were just, like you said, so detached, so desensitized, just making the funniest, just making light of what was a horrible situation.
I mean, maybe it was just too much to believe. I don't know if I was watching that, if I would say, no, this is real or can't be real, unless she like looked into the camera and said, this is real. Like I probably wouldn't have, I'm not sure if I would believe it in this day and age, only because I mean, I just don't know why I wouldn't believe it. Maybe because, like Sunchild said, we're just desensitized, but it just seemed like this is so unbelievable. Like, why would she continue if something like this is really happening? Why are you still
I think
streaming? Why?
because people, their lives are, for some people, the only life they have is online, right? And so
Oh,
I can understand more why she was streaming. I understand less why people were watching it, because like I said, I think people will stream anything to get views, but why people were watching it. And I agree, there were definitely people in the comments who weren't convinced it was real, but then I think there were people in the comments who were indifferent if it was real or not. Like they were along for the ride one way or the other. And
exactly.
I think I'd have a hard time watching that. Like I wouldn't watch that. I mean, not that I would have, I just wouldn't watch it. Like
Yeah,
at some point, I'm calling 911, or the fact that nobody even went down that. A couple of people would told her to
they
call the
did.
police, and
Yeah,
she just
I
kept
mean, she was
ignoring
in the
it.
UK. I don't even think they knew, what to call or who to call, where she. Well, although one person said,
Well, I
"Here's
mean, you
her
still call the
location."
police. I mean, right?
Good, yeah.
So it just was weird that she didn't, but I think it really was a commentary. So you remember, because it's Sunchild last week when I said, are we opening movies now with, not last week, but our last one where we talked about the boogeyman. And
Hmm.
the opening of the boogeyman was, this baby getting
Yeah,
snuffed in its
yeah.
crib. And I said, are we opening movies now with the death of babies, with baby murdering? And Sunchild had said, I think we're desensitized. And I feel like, yeah, this movie really nailed that in the head, that, you know,
Yep.
at some point, I might have believed the beginning part was fake, but when people are, levitating, when you're seeing
Yeah,
a monster, like,
yeah,
single
yeah, yeah, yeah,
zoomer is, or
yeah,
is getting
yeah.
that all done. So I was like, no, 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 this clearly is not something people, but I think people would watch it. I mean, people do watch crazy stuff
Oh,
online.
heck yeah, heck
And
yeah.
so I think it was a sad commentary about, our society and where we stand, that we don't, we're so desensitized. The baby dying, oh, no big deal. You know, this person, these people dying, oh, no big deal. Let's just keep watching, get the popcorn, pull up a seat. It was crazy, very
It was
crazy.
crazy. It was crazy. I had written down some of the comments that I liked. I don't have my notes here, but literally, some of them said. One guy said, "I'm too high for this." Like he's like, "What's happening here?" Like you're gonna
A
blow my high.
hundred percent, 100%. I mean, the comments were just crazy, but that's all she cared about was the streaming. Like that was her life. And that like it's just like, I don't understand why people can't put down a phone, but they just cannot. And so we're gonna have to just accept that that's how people live today. They just cannot physically let go of it. um and I thought it was uh, I mean, I know that now. Do you remember when we were talking about how the kids in the second movie? So we watched the host first, then we watched the boogeyman, then we watched Dashcam. And my one of my complaints about the boogeyman was that the kids were like zombies in it. And I wonder again, if and now I wonder, is that intentional? Is this again part of his view of modern day society, that we're so detached and desensitized and seemingly drugged and numbed, that people, we don't have reactions to things that we normally would react to. I don't know. Just want to know what you think about that.
No, I would agree. I would agree. And I think he has a great way of looking at it too. Like it's subliminal, like it's not really in your face. You kind of have to read between the lines because most people who watch these movies are not going to think about that at all. But I mean, I think they're great points, and I think he is maybe trying to get something across and, you know, in his own way. So I do agree. And I do agree that we are desensitized to a lot of things. Like when we saw the baby, in the first scene when the baby got killed in Boogeyman, I was like, what the? Like, I was like, no, this is, that's kind of creepy. We're starting off here. Where do you go from here? Like, where do you go from here? You know?
Exactly.
But
Oh,
yeah, it's like, that's
the
it. That's
boogeyman
the end of
don't
the movie.
play. That's what we learned.
That's
The
right. That's right.
boogeyman did not come to play.
That's
He
right.
is serious.
Yeah. And in this one, you're right. I mean, I do think though that you're trying to figure out how did she become that old, right? And the girl was bit. Does that mean something's going to happen to her? Like how, what
Mm.
happens to these people? Like what happens to her? Because she obviously didn't. Well, did the creature die? I remember her beating it with her lap and her little keyboard. But then I don't know what happened to it after that. Like, I don't know
I,
where. It went.
I mean, they made it seem like it died, but I didn't assume it really fully died.
Right.
Because they never
Given.
do in these movies. But I don't know. I said that whole creature at the end, that took and I like that he's unpredictable, but man, that went left field. That was kind of just weird. It just seemed like I don't know. Like I said, I needed explanations. I needed to know what was that thing.
Yeah. And I think typical to
And
her character, though, she bounced right back and started rapping again. Like to your point, her diehard followers, and she's like, "Oh, beautiful, da 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 da." Like I think that was her coping mechanism.
oh,
You know,
sure. Which
like I
is,
don't know what I got
which is
myself
saying
into, but
something
I'm gonna rap.
because I'm telling you, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I've been living, and I do live in a bubble, right? I'm sure we all live in our own bubbles, but um, I am not so desensitized that that wouldn't have freaked me out from the start to the finish.
Oh, oh no, no, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
no,
and I'm not so desensitized that even if I was streaming, like even if I was on the phone with my best friend just saying what was happening, at some point that phone's getting dropped. Like, the priorities are what's happening right there first. And then
yep.
I just like said, watching that kind of stuff, what is wrong with people that they would do that? That was just, but like I said, a lot of them probably didn't take it
Didn't
seriously.
think it was real. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
then even
Because you
those
can't
that thought it
fathom
was,
that. You just
like I
can't
said, you
fathom,
couldn't up
right?
until it got too elaborate. Then you can't fathom that she could make it up. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like at some point,
Yeah.
you can't fathom that, an average small streamer has all these CGI,
Yeah.
has a billion
Yeah.
dollar CGI budget
Yeah.
uh to make things levitate and all that. Oh, and then just like when the mother was got there and it just there was some like just some gross like scenes and I'm like, yeah, like you should know that that's not. And
Yeah.
then you also wonder like how do these things not get shut down, right? That how come nobody reported this and then they shut down her stream because that is somebody else's life that you're recording as they're getting killed. That just seems very just seems
Yeah.
mean. You
Good
know what I mean?
point.
Just like, no, oh, you're freezing now. Okay. Oh, that's weird. Um, but I do like, and I look forward to what else he's going to do that's going to really be reflective again of society today and not trying to keep horror movies like relegated to the 70s in the basement kind of thing.
Yeah. I don't think
I
he's
mean,
done
that's
that
scary
yet.
too, but most people,
Yeah,
don't even have basements, I
that's
don't even know if
true.
people live in houses anymore.
Exactly. They
I
certainly
don't
don't
know what,
stay there. Well, actually,
I
people
don't
are in the
know.
house all the time. So actually, it is a good place because people don't leave the house in these days.
Right,
Most of
right,
them are
right,
stuck to the computer or not computer, but
right, right.
phone or thing.
And there
Yeah.
have been, I mean, there have been a lot of good movies. I listen to me. I really liked um Unfriended.
Oh, yeah.
That was a good one. That was again very contemporary. And then there was
Right.
another one. I mean, it was more stupid. It was Countdown. This is again where people were incapable of just
Yeah,
putting their
yeah, I
phones
did see
down.
that. Yeah, I did see
Yeah.
that one too.
But
Yeah.
it was, but at least it's kind of relevant. Like, the
Yep.
new horror is going to have something to do with that
Yep.
computer or this phone or something along those lines. And so at least bring that in today than still, like I said, pretending that everybody's on a farm and nobody has a phone
Right. So what did you
or
think of
nobody knows how to use
Stretch's
it.
what did you think of Stretch's girlfriend's reaction when she came back to the house and they wanted to kick her out? Right. She
Emotional.
had at this point she had gone to Stretch's job with him. She went to the store. The guy said, where's your mask? And she just made a big
Yes.
scene. And then she gets back to the house and his girlfriend just automatically starts wailing on her. Do you remember that scene? Then they go off in the corner and they're like, no, we need to get her out. She needs to go. That's right before she went and stole the car, like a hoodlum.
I mean, what did I make of it?
Yeah, like, I mean, the reaction. Did you think of her reaction?
I guess I don't even remember her reaction. You mean I'm what reaction? The reaction of the girlfriend to the crazy
Yes,
vlogger being in her house?
that and still, well, she hadn't stole the car at that point, but I guess she must have heard about her boyfriend's job. I don't know. Or were they married? I don't even remember at this point.
They were not married, but you knew
Okay.
that there was some animosity between, I don't even know her name. What is that? What was the girl's name?
Annie? Annie,
Annie. We knew there was
the
some
real name.
animosity between Annie and her friend's girlfriend.
Stretch's girlfriend.
Stretch's girlfriend, right? So they didn't really get into too much, but we knew that there was some animosity because Annie was making all these comments about making it seem like Stretch's girlfriend was over exaggerating things and stuff like that. So I took it as she just had, it was the straw that broke the camel's back when Annie showed up and she was just like, get her out of here. Like, what did
Which
you
I don't
read
blame
into
her.
it? Yeah,
The
exactly. I
same.
was just like, okay,
Yeah,
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 that would
yeah,
make sense to me. It's like,
yeah,
you could see that she just there was no boundaries with this chick, right? I mean, she was constantly overstepping boundaries, and Stretch for whatever reason was just like a doormat. Like he just kept letting her, walk
yeah.
all over him. And I didn't think, he had some funny lines too. And I did like the humor throughout it. Like you said, there was humor throughout the entire movie. And I
Right.
liked it because at first I was like, Stretch is just almost so stupid. I can't handle him. But then, he did have some funny lines and it made maybe they tried to explain a little bit more why he put up with her. I don't know if it was
Did they? Yeah, I
satisfactory.
don't.
Hmm?
I don't. What did they do in Glasgow? Did they were they rappers? Like what? He on his T-shirt, it showed all the times they went to some place that he and Annie had gone
Oh,
together, and I forgot what it was that they had actually done. Maybe went to a
I don't
concert.
even know.
Like it
I
was
don't know.
every day. Maybe it was Oktoberfest. Actually,
Why would you
well,
say
it would be in
was it
Glasgow.
October?
I think that I don't even remember the dates now. I don't remember, but I know they were every day. It was consecutive days.
I thought that they were both kind of vloggers, streamers is what I would call them. I thought they were both streamers, but I really didn't know. It was very murky. Like I said, I felt like the beginning never really, and I don't need to know the backstory about this part. I'd rather know the ending than the beginning. But
Yeah.
I just felt like it just jumped right in, and we didn't know why she was there, how
Yeah.
she was permitted to suddenly be, door
Right.
dashing around
Or,
the
or,
UK.
or the only person traveling in the airport. So,
I
we
was thinking
always,
that
right?
too. It was like, okay, wait a minute now. That was a weird place to, I mean, I know we already know Rob Savage is from there, but it was a weird place to put this fanatical Trump supporter, or MAGA supporter in the UK during COVID. And she suddenly, can just work a job. Like you just can't do that. Like,
Yeah.
where'd the visa come
I mean,
from?
I don't think she worked. She stole his car, right? And she went to go respond to a call that came through. And so
Well, true, true, true. You're right. You're right. It wasn't
right,
her. She stole the car. You're right. You're right.
right. And I think the store owner, because typically when you order something, you know who's coming to your door, right, for safety reasons. But I think the
Yeah.
store owner was like, "Oh, I should have canceled that anyway." But I got a creep over here. How about you come get her out of my? I don't care who you are. How about you come get her out of my store?
You look about silly enough that this might work with you. Um,
Right.
yeah, yeah, that part was all murky. And like I said, her friend was just kind of Stretch was just kind of his name, everything about him was kind of annoying. So I never
Somebody said Jesus is back or Jesus is risen or something in one of the comments because
I
I guess he
saw,
was
I
supposed to
think I
be
remember
this.
seeing that. Yeah, yeah. No, there was some, yeah, the comments were hysterical, I would
Oh
say.
my God. They were just
Um, of course,
and
I
they
can't think of any of them, huh?
I know. So there's this one thing where they kept saying, it's behind you, look behind you. I never saw anything behind her, but I did go to, I think it's called Dead Live Talk. It's this guy who does this like we're doing kind of YouTube channel about I don't know what else. I just happened to see him talk to her, and I guess she's been doing this since '98. This band car streaming platform, self-proclaimed number one music show where they improvise with the rap, and the words, the capitalized words and the rapping. So she's been doing it for a long time, and I guess since she's been doing that, people always say because she must always do it in her car. They must always say, behind you, there's something behind you. Because I kept saying, while they were streaming the movie, I was like, why are people putting those comments? I can't see behind her. And what's behind her? So I literally had to rewind several times to see what they were talking about. But I think it may just be comments that people say to her, period, because she's in her car and they're always saying there's somebody behind you. Well, voila, there was somebody behind you in this case, right? Because you picked up a stranger, Angela,
I
and put her in the
know,
back seat.
I
And then
know.
she, oh my God, when she started just, well, first of all, when she shat in the back seat, I was like, oh my God. And I want to know what
Made
kind of
enough
super,
money right there, right there. Angela's on the sidewalk by herself, and I'm speeding away.
what kind
If
of
we got
super
that far, if
absorbent
we even
paper,
actually got that far, huh?
right. He's cleaning it up with this paper towel. I'm like, what kind of extra so absorbent bounty is that you could pick up the runs with one scoop? I was like, oh my God. And then when the blood came out of her mask, I was like,
when when she took the mask off and I saw her
and
mouth,
she,
I was like,
and she tore it open. I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. I was
just the
in
way
the
she was
road.
staring at her from the back seat was enough. I mean,
Somebody
I was
said, did
like,
she have Alzheimer's? I was like, oh, it kind of she could have, because that's the look, but I was like, oh man,
it was, yeah, that was so, she
it
was
was
so
creepy,
creepy, so creepy. Um,
so
and
creepy.
so
And they kept
again,
putting her back in the
so
car.
they sewed Angela's mouth closed,
Yes,
or somebody sewed her mouth closed
yeah,
with,
probably the mother or
because,
whoever the lady in the store is, because
so you
why was
remember the scene where, first of all, you talk about something don't crack. I mean, when the mother showed up, I thought that was her sister or her daughter.
same, same.
Like, what? You have a child that old? The mother looked like she was in her 20s or 30s at the
Yeah,
most. But
because her daughter was young.
yes, I did, which I didn't realize. But the scene where the mother shows up and the girl's outside putzing around, and then Angela takes the mother and must throw her against, like, all you see is the mother, like, body's getting thrown. Right then and there again, I'm sort of like, okay, but again, this is a sign of the times. People are desensitized, and so she didn't even, yeah, wasn't
I know
even
you're not
looking to
getting
see
back
what
in
was
my
going on.
car. Yeah, I know
You
you're not
definitely
getting
not
back in
getting
my
back in
car.
my car.
No, no, heck
Definitely
no.
not
I
getting
would have
back.
left the scene. Boom. Should have been by herself on that street. But how about in the end, in one of the later scenes where she's driving away and Angela is chasing her? It's like, stop Did you see? You remember that scene?
Yes. Yes.
Oh
I
my
thought she
God,
was
that
gonna,
was
that's like,
so
didn't she go up? Did she
terrifying.
end up getting on the roof or not?
She ended up on the roof, but just
Okay,
seeing
that's what I
her
thought. Yeah.
chasing her, and I
Oh
was
yeah.
like, oh
Yeah.
my God, I would have flown right off the earth. Like I would have been driving so fast. I mean, because I would have scared the crap
That
out of
would
me.
have everything
Oh
about
my
every,
God.
that's what he does so well, right? Like I said, we get sick of seeing the same people. So now you take this wrinkly old,
Oh
this
man.
woman, um and you make her so unassuming, but then she does things like the way she's staring at you, then you see her mouth, like just this
Just
what's the word? This
then,
increasing terror. And then,
yeah.
culminating with her chasing after the car. And then it's
Oh,
like, oh no, 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 no. That there goes your one last hope that you could, drive away. And now you
that's
realize you
it.
can't do that.
That's it. And I thought
She
it's so funny. It's not funny, but the one scene, do you remember when she gets out the car? So they're about to, this is when Stretch gets there and she's like, come on, we gotta leave, we gotta leave. And they get in the car and they see Angela standing in the street. And then Annie is like, Angela, oh my God, she gets out of the car and she walks
yes.
up close to her. She must have seen something and she backs away. Like what I'm curious, maybe she saw the blood on her face. I don't know what actually she couldn't have seen the blood. Because actually I don't remember when it happened, but she saw something on her face and she backed away really quick and kind of ran towards the woods. Do you remember that scene? I think that
I
may have been when
remember
the
when they
mom
saw her
came.
in front of the car, but I don't remember the look on her face when she walked up to her and saw something. So I feel like I almost have to watch this movie again.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Because this
worth
movie,
watching
just so
again.
much is happening that you're in this
Yeah.
heightened sense.
That's my point. And her attitude, and you got comments here and faces on this side. You're like
Yes.
trying to see the whole. I literally had to
Yes.
stop it 1,000 times to kind of, okay, what are they saying over here? What's the funny face over here? Like I couldn't take it all in. I could
Yeah, it
not
was
take
a
it
lot
all
to
in.
absorb. And you're right.
Heck
I
yeah.
did find myself way too often reading the comment section,
Yes, you
which
had
is a which
to.
is a which is a social commentary about me as a viewer as well. Like I talk about them not being in the present, but here I am, instead of watching the movie unfolding, I'm too busy worrying about what people are saying about it. So yeah, we're all
Right.
messed up. We are all messed up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have
Yeah.
to go back and look because I don't remember. But the fact that, like you said, it was kind of even though she was so indifferent to so many things, she did almost have a soft spot, if you will, for
Good.
Angela. And
She did.
so I don't remember what the look was on her face though when she walked up to her. I almost want to go back and see it. I wish this movie was
The reaction rather than a look. You don't see her face, but you see the way she reacted to whatever she saw on Angela's face.
do you hear me okay, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Just said
Yep.
my default microphone changed. So that was
No,
for.
fine. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I I have to know more about Angela. And I felt like they closed the door for there to be a part two. Like, how could there be a part two at this point? What could
Maybe because she was bitten. And again, that
oh,
would
so
mean
maybe
that this is, some kind of like I don't know what the creature was supposed to be. I don't know if the bite means anything. You know what I mean? But
it
then
looked like a big seal. Like I don't know, it was a cross between a seal and a caterpillar. Like I didn't like the way
and an
they did.
ant. It had like an ant, big head. I don't know what it was.
Yeah. I'll see if I can pull up a picture of it because it was really that might have been the weakest part about the whole movie. Was just it just did not do the movie justice to have that kind of crazy looking. Let me see if I can pull it up. See if this, yeah, that's it's so vague. It's like they don't even know what I'm talking about. Yep. Okay.
I was sad though that it did actually kill Stretch because I felt like he was just dragged into her madness. You
And
know
that
what I
that
mean?
that
Like
again
he
goes to yes to the oh man, there are some really good stills, but that again kind of goes back to this whole idea of why were people still watching it after they were seeing people actually dying. That part.
and they
That's
didn't
not
believe
it.
it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this was towards the very end when they were in the and I felt like they were, I don't know where they were. At one point they were on the street. The next point they were at the museum, not a museum, but oh, oh gosh, what are they called? Like an amusement park or something, because they were in the House of Mirrors. Remember? And when he found her and slapped her in her face, I'm so glad he slapped her back. Remember the spit slap that she
Yes.
gave him and then he gave it
Oh,
back to her
oh,
when she was on those. I said, good. She deserved that one. But
she's
she
lucky
was
she
a,
lived that first spit slap because
yeah,
she
that,
didn't I'd have slapped her back to the States in a minute.
oh.
How dare you put spit on your hand?
First class ever. First class. Here we go.
Okay, let me share this just as a reminder of how crazy Angela looked. Let me see if I can share my screen. Share screen.
So we have to be careful. Last time on one of them, we got like a
Oh,
slap.
copyright.
Yeah, but I guess if you're finding it, it's out there. So
Do you see it?
I do barely. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's when. Yeah, that's when they were in the amusement park.
Yeah, just thought I would share how scary that
Yeah.
looked. Because it was horrifying.
Yeah.
Angela looked like a hot mess.
But I tell
Um,
you, I think they did a great job. I mean, Annie did such a great. She was so believable. Like I felt like she portrayed the right emotions, the right screams, the right just everything. You know what I mean? It's
yeah, no, I
just
thought she did a good job. And like I said, I thought, I don't know if in real life she came up with all those rhymes. I suspect that she did
I
because
think
do
she
you remember?
did, yeah.
Yeah, at the very end, you could tell
Yep,
that that's kind of what she does. And she's very
right.
talented, very,
Yeah,
very
like I
talented.
said, she's been doing it for a long since 98. So and it's very over the
Mhm.
top. Like when I saw the interviews, that the far right political views are not hers.
Oh, I
But she
figured as
played them
much.
well. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like she just played off of that, and then you get the people responding on over to the left there. So it was good.
yeah.
Really thought she did a great job.
She
Really,
did. She 100% did. Like I said, I would give it, and I feel like I'm bunching everything in the middle again, but I would give it a 3.5. I think it's hard to take a movie like this and even give it above average because I think there's so many opportunities for it to be horrible, but I think it was definitely above average. Couldn't be perfect because I felt like that ending was just lacking for me, but I felt it maybe if there was more of a not closure, but just a more crisp ending or just something that didn't leave me wanting, I probably would give it a 4. But because of that, I'm gonna take off half.
I would give it a 4 because the
Okay.
intensity there. Like I
Yes.
just felt that her method of acting or the way she interpreted the role just helped with everything else that was going on. And I just really I was terrified the whole time. Like I was just like, oh my God. Oh my, like I felt sick. Like everything about the movie made me sick to the point where I was like, how do you get out of this nonsense? Like it was nonstop.
There was
And so
definitely yeah, go ahead, sorry.
I say, so that's why I would give it a 4. It was just so intense. And I felt it was very well done. And again, a small cast,
Yeah,
uh, not a whole lot of resources, I don't think.
right. Yeah.
So I thought, yeah, definitely a 4 for me.
I mean, when you put it like that, I will definitely I do give it credit for being an independent small film. And I give it credit for showing me something I've never seen in a horror film before. Again, the storyline, the beginning is kind of predictable, but then where it goes is just off the rails. And having seen so many movies, to still surprise me at this point is amazing. Which he did with Host, the first one.
Yeah.
And I do like the people that he picks for his movies, 100%.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
yeah, and I like that. I like that you can tell. And I couldn't tell that it was improv, but just like with Host, it was believable. Like the people were believable.
Mhm.
Like they seemed, everything about them seemed normal. And so I felt the way about this one as well. But what I was gonna say is, like as soon as I saw the woman's face in the back of the car, I kind of thought to myself, "Oh, I wonder if I made a mistake here by watching this." Like that's how scared I was, and yeah, I couldn't. Like there was no. I've already seen the worst of it. Like the horror was right there, and I just
Yep.
remember thinking, I hope this doesn't stick in my head because that was
Yes,
a
it does.
horrifying
It
sight.
does. When they did the whole
Horrifying.
flood scene, right? You're staring at her and you see cars pass by because you see the lights, and then she happens to look up, and then you're thinking, oh crap, now what's gonna happen? Like that's what I probably would have dropped. I would have dropped the stream, but I want to see what's happening, so I probably logged back in. But and then all of a sudden she looks up and you just start seeing like this blood stain. I'm thinking, oh my God, what is going on here? Like,
And I almost feel like, I mean, she did the right thing by pulling down her mask, but I almost feel like I wouldn't want to pull down the mask. It's
I
like
wouldn't want to pull it
whatever's
down.
causing that blood we're gonna find out when we
Nope.
get
As a
something.
matter of fact, take my shirt and have a double mask because I don't know. I don't want to know what's coming out of your mouth. It can't be good. It's
Have the
bleeding. It can't
shirt.
be good.
Here's the keys to the car. I'm out.
I'm
I'm
out.
booking. I'm just running
I'm
down the
out.
street at this
Deuces.
point.
Deuces. Exactly. Exactly. And then how ironic is this? So when it's this girl, when they hit a couple head on, and the guy, is dying through the window, and someone's holding his hand. I can't remember who. And then she goes over to the bride. Are you okay? Are you okay? And then she puts a um, "No liberals allowed" T-shirt on her. And it's like, I mean, I don't know. Just
I actually had to laugh at that too. It was like there was a point, and I actually give them credit because there was
oh,
a point where I thought this is going to be annoying.
yep,
Um,
yep,
not because of her views, but the fact that it was just so relentless. And I just remember thinking this is going to be too much. But I think they played, they put it out there just to get you annoyed, but they
yep.
didn't like necessarily like, make it unbearable. And they threw enough humor into it that it was okay.
Softened it a bit. That's why I told you when you guys were gonna watch. I said if you can handle watching her, you'll get through the whole movie because she's tough. She was tough to watch. You know what I mean? And you have to
She
realize,
was.
okay, they're acting, and this is probably not 100% her views, although some of it is. But
Well,
it was just hilarious.
the reason I could tolerate her is because I felt like she was saying anything and doing anything. It was shock value, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so
yeah,
I felt like it was amped up trying to get views. And so
yeah,
I took it with a grain
gotcha.
of salt. It's kind of
Yeah,
like, she just was, I didn't assume that that's how she behaved when the camera wasn't on. Like you could tell she was obnoxious because I think
yeah.
there's an element, there has to be something in you that makes you want to put your life out in front of people 20, or to think that your life is important for people to see
Right,
24/7.
right, right.
But I felt like it was amped up. Like she was just kind of like just, you know, she was going for the views, and so she was intentionally over the top. And that helped me not hate her because I really didn't hate her
Yeah,
like the way I wanted to. But I
right,
didn't hate her at all. At all. I
right.
just felt like, she just was a pain in the butt,
Yep.
but no more or less pain in the butt. But she was interesting. Like she kept your attention.
Have your attention. And
Um,
she had a soft side. She showed
she
that,
did,
right?
she absolutely had a soft side. And she just was, I think she was also just reflecting the society we live in. Like,
Yep, yep.
she was a sign of the times.
At the times. And so I wonder why it happened in the UK. You know what I mean? I
I was
wonder why,
thinking, was that, I wonder what the budget was for this movie because I'm thinking,
I don't
wait,
know.
what year did you say the movie came out?
It released in 2022, but it was completed in 21, I believe.
So that I'm guessing he couldn't leave the country to film anywhere else, right? During the lockdown.
No, I'm surprised why it wasn't in US. I'm surprised it was even in the UK.
Well, he's from the UK, right?
Oh, that's what you said. Is he
Yeah,
from the
he
UK or
is. Yeah,
Canada?
he's the UK.
UK, okay.
Let me just double check, but I'm pretty sure we saw that last time we were talking about him. Oops. He's sure it says British born. Let's see. Yeah.
I think I may have said he was from Canada in one of my talks, but so he's from the UK.
Did you say that?
I think I may have.
No. And if you did, I think we corrected it. Yeah, he's English.
Okay, okay.
I remember we had even talked about the fact that that's one of the reasons why the baby died in the first opening
Yeah,
episode.
yeah, yeah, it's different. It's very different. And that's the reason why, he could have put that older woman there. Because here people would be like, oh my God, that's Granny, and you can't have, yeah, I think people would have had issues with everything that he did with the old lady, the blood, the feces, the just all those things. A lot of those things I don't think would fly here, even though we loved it and we love it. I just don't think
Yeah.
we do those type of films because for some reason we think we're above that.
I think that this is a film. I'm not. I see what you're saying, and I agree with it in general. But I would say I think films like that are made here, but I think they tend to be small independent films, and it's hard for small independent films to get any kind of recognition. And so what we're used to seeing are the Hollywood blockbusters.
Exactly.
We know,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
they're
Okay,
geared
good
towards
point.
the lowest common denominator. So
Yeah,
they're not anybody who might say, I don't want to see it because of this, they're not, they want that dollar. So they're gonna like cut that scene, make it
good
as
point.
generic as possible to
Yeah,
appeal to as many
exactly,
people as
exactly,
possible.
exactly.
Um, and I think that's kind of what ended up happening with The Boogeyman, because I think The Boogeyman was still a really good movie. I think he did a great job,
We
but
did.
it definitely was geared towards a wider audience. I don't know if you remember the movie The Ritual. It's that
It
movie.
was.
It sounds familiar, right? It was the Swedish movie where the guys go out into the forest.
Oh yeah. Is
From
that the thing?
memory.
Were there rocks or something? Something about the rocks or no?
Yes, it was rock structures and stuff. Yeah, this is the same
Yeah.
movie I was
Okay.
thinking
Okay.
of. There was as I was watching that and I was seeing these guys come to the realization right from the outset that strange things are happening and seeing how they reacted to it, which was what we would be doing, which is sniffling and crying and being hysterical. I
Yep.
thought, yeah, see, that's this deadening reaction in the boogeyman just makes even less sense. But I think that um I don't know, because it's trying to appeal to more people, if that kind of behavior would turn people off or if it just allows them to tell a different story if the people aren't as hysterical. I don't know. Like I don't know if it was intentional or not, but I that reaffirmed to me like no, I'm not crazy. Here's four grown men and they are sniffling and crying like I would be. Unlike this 8-year-old stoic girl and her 15-year-old stoic sister and their 40-year-old completely, catatonic father. So anyway, but I wonder if because the things that I didn't like about the boogeyman, I feel like are more about highly produced, big budget movies and less about Rob. Because the things that I like about him are present in all the movies. And then you
Yep.
notice that when it's a smaller movie, he doesn't go for those kind of typical tropes.
That's a good point. When I was watching the movie, I kept thinking there was a lot of Blair Witch in this, right? And we know Blair
Yes.
Witch was one of the best low budget movies out there, right? They had a camera and a snotty nosed girl, and it made millions. You know what I mean? It was such a good movie because that movie, you're thinking, yep, I get a camera. I could be in the woods and I would be running. So it's so realistic because it was so simple. And I think he does a lot of that with his movies are just people do things that are like more realistic. Like
Yes.
I probably do that, and I'd probably be scared, and I'd probably be running. You know what I
Yes.
mean? He does.
Yes.
He throws a lot of that in there.
Yes, yes, 100%. I can't wait to see it 'cause I cannot wait to see what he's gonna do next. We talked about
Oh
his
my God, I
upcoming
can't
films,
wait.
but they're pretty far out. But
Are
we
they?
should. Yeah, because we were talking about, well, I don't know if there's dates on them actually, but I think they're pretty far out.
Well,
But we
hopefully now.
should. Okay, go ahead.
I was gonna say, hopefully now that the actors and actresses are in full force. Hopefully they can move things forward quicker now that the strike is
Well,
over. So
true. True, true, true. I was gonna say, we should. He lists his three favorite horror films as Evil Dead 2, The Innocents, the 1961 version, and Lake Mungo, which I've actually seen from 2008. I think we should see one of his favorites to try to,
I think
since we're
that's
going down this Rob
yeah.
Savage path, see what inspires this man.
I
So
think
do we want to
so.
watch I think we've already seen Evil Dead 2, I'm sure. So we could watch either The Innocents from 1961 or Lake Mungo from 2008. Maybe Lake Mungo.
Yeah,
But
I
I feel
don't think
like
I
I've
could do a
seen
61 film. I mean, I'll probably watch it,
I
but I
know
can't
it.
even
I know
imagine.
it. I know it. I can't even, I tell you, man, it's amazing how fast technology is. You watch a movie now from 2005 and you're like, what is this nonsense? It
What
looks
is
like
this
it's turned of the
nonsense?
century. It looks
Yep,
so
yep,
antiquated and
yep,
old,
yep.
pixelated.
It's so true. It's so true. I was watching some old movie. I can't remember what it was, and they showed the
Oh,
computer
I
screen
remember
in the
Lake
movie.
Mungo.
It looked so fake. I was like, oh my God, is this what we thought was like technology? It was so weird. But yeah, we can do, so you want to do Lake Mungo. Is
I've
that what you
seen it
said?
before, but let's do Lake Mungo, and it was scary.
And in
Well, I don't want to say
2008,
too much. I was
2008, 2008.
2008. I think
Okay,
you may have
Rob
seen
Savage,
it
like,
already.
I don't know. Might be something I watched today though.
Okay. Yeah, it's creepy. I just thought it was creepy, but just walk in with an open mind because we're just trying to figure out
Well,
what motivates this man.
that'd
I
be
think
great. Yeah,
it's
I cannot wait to see what he comes up with next. I love everything he's done. I love his crazy thought process and the fact that makes things very realistic. So keep up the good work, Rob. We love what you do, that's for sure.
see. I was going to try to see what, not that it matters, but I was going to see what it was rated. Actually, you know what? I'm not even going to put that out there because we don't need to
Yeah, don't even, because I don't want to be swayed.
have our, yeah, exactly. Okay. Well,
Exactly.
cool beans. Now we know what our next
Right.
movie's going to be.
Mungo,
Hmm.
2028 Rob Savage film.
Yes, 2008. That's what you
I,
said,
I
right?
said 2028. Holy smokes.
No.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. We're so glad you're here to watch us and we enjoy your company. Until next time, thanks so much, Ball Girl. We'll see you soon. Bye bye.
Bye.